Well, I don't want to delay things. I just want to add my voice congratulating all of you amazing Harvard Law School graduates. I'm a proud graduate of the law school. And I just want to say really 4 quick things. I hope that you know that you now have incredible opportunities to change the world. And I hope you believe that you can change the world. Because I'm persuaded that if you are willing to believe things you haven't seen, you can make a profound difference in this country. I'm going to urge some of you to make sure you look at your Harvard Law School admission essays before you get too far in your career. Because sometimes it's worth remembering why you wanted to be a lawyer before you get pulled into all of the challenges that a law practice will create. And I do think that there are some things that I've learned that I just want to pass on to you. And they're really simple. First is that if you want to make a difference, get close to the issues and the problems that most concern you. I believe proximity will make the biggest difference in your ability to change the world. I grew up in a community where black children could not go to the public schools. I started my education in a colored school. And lawyers came into my community and made them open up the public schools. And because of that, I got to go to high school and college and got to come to the Harvard Law School. The second thing is that I hope you'll change the narrative. There's a narrative out there that is trying to define what you cannot do as a lawyer. There are people who are prepared to say that, well, if you work at a law firm, you can't do this kind of work, and if you do this kind of work, you can't do that. That narrative has to change, and I hope you'll change that narrative. Thirdly, I hope you'll stay hopeful. Whenever you find yourself becoming hopeless about what you can do, as a lawyer, as an advocate, as a human being, push back on that. Hope is necessary. Hope will get you to stand up when other people are sitting. It'll get you to speak when other people are quiet, and your hope is essential. I believe that injustice prevails where hopelessness persists. Hope is the friend of justice, and injustice is friended by hopelessness. And so we need your hope. And finally, what I hope you'll do is that I hope you will sometimes do uncomfortable things, because the way you create justice in this country, the way you create justice in the world, is when you choose to do things that are uncomfortable. I wish I could tell you that creating a new world, creating better justice, creating the kind of world that you believe in can be accomplished by only doing things that are comfortable and convenient, but I'm persuaded the opposite is true. You've got to sometimes do uncomfortable things. I'll end with this. There's a different metric system that I hope some of you will consider. And I learned about it from an old man. I was giving a talk in a church not too long ago, and this old man was sitting in the back of the church, and he was staring at me the whole time I was talking. And he had a very angry, stern look on his face. He was in a wheelchair, and I couldn't figure out why he was looking at me so angrily. And finally, I got through my talk, and people came up, and they were very nice, and they were very kind, but this man sitting in the back kept staring at me. And finally, when everybody else left, this man wheeled himself up to me in the middle of that church, and he came up the front of the church aisle, and he got in my face, and he put his finger up, and he said, "Young man, do you know what you're doing?" And I didn't know how to respond, and he asked me again, he said, "Do you know what you're doing?" And I stepped back, and I mumbled something, and then this man looked at me again. He said, "I asked you, do you know what you're doing?" And then he said, "I'm going to tell you what you're doing." And this man looked at me, and he says, "You're beating the drum for justice." And I was so moved and so relieved to hear him say that. And after he said it, he says, "I'm going to tell you something." He says, "You keep beating the drum for justice." And then he pulled me into his wheelchair, and he said, "Come here, and I'm going to show you something." And he turned his head, and he showed me a scar behind his right ear. He said, "You see this scar? I got that scar in Greene County, Alabama in 1963 trying to register people to vote." And then he turned his head, he said, "You see this cut at the bottom of my neck?" He said, "I got that cut in Philadelphia, Mississippi during Freedom Summer." And then he turned his head and he said, "You see this dark spot?" He said, "That's my bruise. I got my bruise in Birmingham, Alabama, trying to register people to vote in 1965. And then he said, "People look at me and they think I'm some old man sitting in a wheelchair covered with cuts and bruises and scars." He said, "But I'm going to tell you something, young man." He said, "These aren't my cuts. These aren't my bruises. These aren't my scars." He said, "These are my medals of honor." And we need some of you graduates to put yourself in situations where I hope you'll get proximate, I hope you'll change narratives, I hope you'll do hopeful things, and I hope you'll do uncomfortable things. You have been through an enormous test at the Harvard Law School, and you've come out gleaming and proud and bright. There are greater tests ahead, and don't be afraid to get cut and bruised and scarred a little bit, if it allows you to advance justice, I want to congratulate you and thank you for all of the extraordinary work I know you're going to do. Bless you all.